Hey guys, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. Hope you're enjoying my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. These little things are free to you and really help the channel. I appreciate your support. Enjoy. Thank you.
The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Greetings and welcome to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick with Firearm Mentor and Stress2Logic, your host. And quite frankly, guys and girls and people, I happen to be pretty appalled. Who am I appalled at? Who am I appalled with? That would be Governor J.B. Pritzker, which I don't know what J.B. means, but it might mean just big. Sorry, that was an inappropriate joke, but as someone who was who formerly was a big person, I feel like I'm qualified to make that statement. That's a different story for a different time, but I used to be 110, 120 pounds heavier. I kind of was the same size as Governor Pritzker is now. So, in any event, I was trying to be funny, didn't come out funny, but let me tell you why I'm appalled at him. He gave a speech this week inciting protests. Now, we all know that protests can and have led to violence. Not only violence against people, but also against the concepts, violence against property, although that's more property damage. Let me tell you what he said. He said, and I quote, "We will never join Republicans in the special place in hell reserved for quislings and cowards." Okay, that is a personal attack. I know I just personally attacked him, but I'm also not an elected official. He also went on to say, quote, "Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone, and that we must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box." Okay, not so, I don't like the first part where he says Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. But the second thing is when he said, quote, "punish them at the ballot box," he's encouraging people to actually vote, which I support. They, meaning Republicans, must feel in their bones that when we survive this shameful episode of American history with our democracy intact, because we have no alternative but to do just that, we will relegate their portraits to the museum halls reserved for tyrants and traitors. Now, he got some thunderous applause with that one. And he also goes on and says, when the courage of our civic leaders waver, when they fail to stand up for our country in the moment of its greatest need, then we should remind them that cowardice always comes at a cost in the world's most successful republic. No generation of Americans has escaped our true inheritance, the test that we are given that asks how hard we are willing to fight to keep our society free. It was selfish to think that ours would be the first, but the fact that we are still here is very interesting. So while not as direct as the Maxine Waters comments of several years ago, it is really disturbing when you have an elected official going out telling people to protest. Now, where I live in Buffalo Grove, there are weekly protests, and I'm all for protesting. You need to make your voice heard. If that makes you feel better, go ahead and do it. I don't protest. At least I don't go to crowds and protest, because the potential for violence is great, and it's either all or nothing. Either you believe everything that the protest is there. It's not like you're protesting one of the 10 things that are maybe wrong with this country, may not be wrong with this country. But the fact that Governor Pritzker said that Republicans can know no peace is inciting violence, potentially insurrection. Very interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but I would have to say that his comments are as much, if not more, of insurrection citing than Donald Trump was accused on January 6th. I'm also going to segue, that was what Pritzker said, but I'm going to segue to a new bill that I really do not like. And this is as of April 30th, so this week. Illinois Democrats introduce a bill banning the sale of Glock handguns. And this article from BearingArms.com goes on to say that Illinois Democrats are ramping up their war on gunmaker Glock with a new bill that would ban the sale of some of the most popular handguns in the country. The city of Chicago is already suing the gunmaker, claiming it has refused to redesign its handguns to prevent them from being illegally converted to full auto fire through the use of a small plastic switch. Officials are seeking, among other things, to block the sale of Glock handguns to Chicago residents, and now a pair of Illinois lawmakers have teamed up with Everytown and Moms Demand Action to enact the same ban via legislation. HB, or House Bill 4045, and its companion bill in the Senate, would allow anyone who knowingly manufactures, sells, offers to sell, purchases, receives, manufactures, imports, or transfers a, quote, convertible pistol, end quote, to be charged with unlawful possession of a weapon, which is a Class 4 felony in the state, punishable by a minimum of 1 year in prison and up to 3 years behind bars, and a $25,000 fine. If the bill becomes law, gun dealers in Illinois could still sell Glocks to law enforcement and the military, as well as private security protecting nuclear sites. But selling some of the most popular pistols in the country to we the people could be a criminal offense. Illinois already banned the switches that convert semi-automatic pistols into fully automatic firearms in the Protect Illinois Communities Act, along with banning, quote, large capacity, end quote, magazines and so-called assault weapons. But Everytown claims that HB 4045 is needed as it is not possible to fully realize the rapid-fire device ban unless you also target the firearms compatible with them. Now, the fact that switches, I'm making air quotes with my fingers, are illegal in Illinois was one of those stupid laws that took up the time of our state legislators. Why is that a stupid law? Well, it's not a stupid law, but it's already banned federally. So why go through all the rigmarole to ban it on the state level? So you can charge someone? Federally, it's a crime, period. Switches make handguns significantly more dangerous, and it's far beyond time we directly address the carnage they cause in our communities, said State Representative Justin Slaughter, who is a sponsor of HB 4045. I would be curious to know how many crimes have had a fully automatic Glock involved in them. I would venture to say very little. The legislation has two aims: A, to keep our communities safe and incentivize the gun industry to produce safer products. We are excited to introduce this legislation to our colleagues in Springfield. Guns modified with switches continue to show up at Illinois crime scenes and create carnage in Illinois communities, said Debbie Feelig, a volunteer with an Illinois chapter of Moms Demand Action. HB 4045 helps to cut off the flow of these deadly weapons at the source. We are grateful to sponsor Senator Selena Villanueva and Representative Justin Slaughter for introducing this critical legislation. That was a quote, but didn't really say who said it. Mere possession of a switch is already a crime under both state and federal law, so there's already tools in place to go after illicit traffickers who sell the switches on the black market and criminals who illegally convert their pistols to full auto. Slaughter's bill wouldn't do anything to address the trigger pullers who are causing the damage that he complains about. Instead, it would be the average Illinois resident and federally licensed gun dealer that would feel the impact of this bill. The Supreme Court ruled more than 15 years ago that bans on handguns violate the Constitution. So instead of an outright ban on an entire class of firearms, gun control advocates are now adopting a piecemeal approach. Glock may be the current target of the anti-gunners, but they won't stop there. Just as their definition of assault weapon has now been expanded to include every gas-operated semi-automatic long gun that can accept a detachable magazine or has a fixed magazine of more than 10 rounds, the definition of convertible pistols is likely to expand beyond just Glocks in the not-too-distant future. Blaming Glock for the criminal misuse of its product is like blaming Kia for thieves stealing their vehicles, or blaming Budweiser for drunk drivers. Lawmakers could easily increase the penalty for using a switch in the commission of violent crime. Prosecutors could promise to send every case involving the use of a switch to their local U.S. Attorney's Office so that suspects are facing longer sentences in federal court. Instead, Slaughter, his colleagues, and the gun control lobby are trying to make some of the most popular pistols in the country off limits to everyone but the police, the military, and those criminals willing to break the law to get their hands on one. So, the fact that a switch is illegal in Illinois is stupid because it's already illegal. I think coordination with the federal district attorney office is really a good idea. But unfortunately, they've banned the AR-15 in Illinois, and they're probably going to be successful in banning Glocks. Now, hopefully it doesn't come to pass. Remember that a bill is a proposed law, not an actual law, until it goes through both chambers and up to the governor for signature. Next, I want to talk about a firearm manufacturer pronounced Scey. It's S-C-C-Y. And I remember when I worked at a gun store, we had it was a very weird call. It was a mess. They had ordered a Scey firearm, and these are kind of crappy little guns. I'll get into that in a little bit. But it came into the store, so I happened to call the guy, and I got his voicemail, and it was all about God and religion, and it was weird. And he wanted a Scey firearm because it was closer to heaven or some crap like that. I was like, this is not good. And I let the owner of the company know. I don't know what he did or if he alerted the authorities, but I did what I could. So this is kind of rumor, but over the past few weeks, there have been posts claiming that the Scey company was closed, although their website is still up and running. And some people say it was still open and the victim of an internet hoax, not sure. So photographs have surfaced this week online showing stickers from the Volusia County, Florida tax office on the Scey headquarters building, indicating that its contents has been seized due to tax-related issues. The Google business listing shows permanently closed. There are internet rumors about individual owners not being able to get back any pistols sent in for service due to the tax foreclosure. Like them or hate them, they have been, according to some, they have been an icon for the firearms dream. Most people paying $600 to $700 for a pocket-sized pistol. The Scey pistols are about $269, which was remarkable at the time when they hit the market. The loss of any purely American-made gun company is a sad thing, no matter your opinion. There's no current production numbers, but about 5 years ago, when the first Scey pistol, the CPX-1 9mm double action only, had already sold 500,000 units, which is a lot of pocket guns. The designer is Joe Roebuck. He's a tool and die maker. He's a mechanical engineer. And he founded Scey in 2003, initially named it SKYY to build pistols. It changed to SCCY at some point, I'm not sure where. His dream was to build an all-American produced pistol of high quality. I don't think he achieved his dream. And be both reliable, I don't think he achieved his dream. And affordable, he achieved his dream with that one, to the average American. Building everything under one roof at the company headquarters in Daytona Beach, Florida, gained a reputation for innovative designs and commitment to quality at a very reasonable price. Some people have had problems with these guns with dependability, and there's a no questions asked lifetime warranty, similar to Ruger, similar to Taurus, which even accompanies the gun to secondary owners. So I have played with the Scey gun. I don't remember if I ever shot one, but it's not something that I would buy. The trigger is immensely difficult to squeeze. There are a ton of other problems with it. It doesn't feel good. It's weird. But some people like it. Some people like it. Now, most of the experience that I have with it involves students who say, yeah, I bought this gun. Oh, I need to get a different gun. This gun is not a good gun for them. So there's also there's no inside information on the real reason why they closed, but at the same time, it could be costs, could be who knows. There's also very severe competition from bigger companies and overseas companies who also sell small EDC or everyday carry pistols at lower prices. Those big companies would have a much larger money base, much lower production and labor costs overseas, and could afford more economic losses in the production versus sales dollars. The market was full, and the cost of producing the same budget guns went up, which makes it hard to survive. One source said Sky worked with employees for severance and job placements, which tells you about the company that they really care about their employees. However, and I'm giving you a personal opinion, and you can feel free to disagree. You want to write in and write me a hate mail. I get it all the time. Or positive mail. I prefer positive. You can reach out to me. My electronic business card is Marcus Melnick. That is MarcusMelnick.com. We're going to take a brief break, but when we return, we have more firearm news for you. I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS 2LOGIC.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show. According to the Thursday Bulletin with the Illinois State Rifle Association, and their website is ISRA.org, Richard Pearson, who's the executive director, has this message. He says that ISRA is taking the next steps in DOJ requests. So the ISRA is fed up with the anti-Second Amendment legislators in Springfield who are hell-bent on stripping away our constitutional rights as law-abiding citizens. And while we continue to challenge these unlawful laws in court and remain confident of victory, we also have some good news to share. In fact, very good news. As you recall, last month, the U.S. Department of Justice launched an investigation in California after law-abiding citizens were facing up to an 18-month delay in Los Angeles for their concealed carry licenses. The DOJ is arguing that this is a violation of the Second Amendment. In fact, Attorney General Pam Bodie says this infringes on 2A rights, and her, quote, department will actively enforce the Second Amendment just like it actively enforces other fundamental constitutional rights. How refreshing it is to finally have a president and Justice Department committed to protecting our 2A rights. ISRA is also aware that we face similar delays here in Illinois that keep law-abiding gun owners from receiving their concealed carry licenses and flight cards in a timely manner, or their firearms if they were unfairly seized by law enforcement officials. It's simply unacceptable and an infringement on our rights. So basically, ISRA is asking you to inform them about your delays. The email that they're asking us to inform them on is investigations@isra.org. That is INVESTIGATIONS at ISRA.org. They want to know what your issue is, how long you've been waiting for your concealed carry licenses and FOID cards, or for the return of your firearm. All of this can be emailed, again, to investigations@isra.org. So a lot of these organizations on the state level are still fighting for our rights to bear arms. Very, very important right. And we're going to move on to the next story. In other news, there's a gun owners group that's calling for a firearm industry's secret sharing of customer data. Ooh, this is not good. Gun Owners for Safety called the secret program that spanned nearly 2 decades underhanded. So what happened? Well, here's what happened. A group representing firearm owners have asked 3 federal agencies to investigate how the gun industry's main lobbying group secretly used the intimate details of weapons buyers for political purposes. In making their request, Gun Owners for Safety cited a ProPublica investigation that detailed how the National Shooting Sports Foundation turned over sensitive personal information on gun buyers to political operatives while presenting itself as a fierce advocate for the privacy of gun owners. The letter sent last week to the FBI, the Federal Trade Commission, and the ATF, called the NSSF's, National Shooting Sports Foundation's, secret program that spanned nearly 2 decades underhanded. Gun owners' privacy is not a partisan or ideological issue, wrote Malcolm Smith, a Gun Owners for Safety member. No matter the industry exploiting customers' private data, like their underwear size and children's ages, in a secret scheme is reprehensible and cannot be permitted. Gun Owners for Safety has been operated since 2019 by the gun violence prevention organization, Giffords, which was co-founded by Gabby Giffords, the Arizona lawmaker who survived an attempted assassination in 2011. It has chapters in 9 states and consists of gun owners and Second Amendment supporters who believe in what they call, quote, common sense, end quote, measures to reduce gun-related deaths, like safety locks and improved background checks on firearm purchases. The ATF acknowledged receiving the letter, but had no other comment. The FBI, FTC, and NSSF did not respond to ProPublica's questions and requests for comment. The NSSF previously defended its data collection, saying that its activities are and always have been entirely legal and within the terms and conditions of any individual manufacturer, company, data broker, or other entity. The organization represents thousands of firearms and ammunition manufacturers, distributors, retailers, along with publishers and shooting ranges. While not as well known as the chief lobbyist for gun owners, the NRA, the NSSF is respected and influential in business, political, and gun rights communities. Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, told ProPublica he agreed with Smith's call for an investigation. Last November, Blumenthal, then chair of a Senate subcommittee on privacy, asked the NSSF for details on the companies that contributed information to the trade group's database, the type of consumer details that were shared, and whether the data is still being used. The trade group did not answer the senator's questions. Blumenthal said the NSSF's distributing covert data collection raises serious safety and privacy concerns, and the American people deserve answers. It's unclear how successful any request for an investigation will be under the Trump administration, especially given the NSSF's past political support for the president. ProPublica's investigation identified at least 10 gun industry businesses, including Glock, Smith & Wesson in Remington, that handed over hundreds of thousands of names, addresses, and other private data without customer knowledge or consent to the NSSF, which then entered the details in what would become a massive database. The database was used to rally gun owners' electoral support for the industry's preferred candidates running for White House and Congress. Privacy experts told ProPublica that companies that shared information with the NSSF may have violated federal and state prohibitions against deceptive and unfair business practices. Under federal law, companies must comply with their own privacy policies and be clear how they will use consumer information, said privacy experts. A ProPublica review of dozens of warranty cards from those gun manufacturers found that none of them informed buyers that their details would be used for political purposes. Most of the companies named in the NSSF document declined to comment or did not respond. One denied sharing customer data, and the new parent company of another said it had no evidence of data sharing with NSSF under prior ownership. When we return, we're going to be continuing this conversation about how the NSSF allegedly shared information with government agencies. Stay tuned for the next segment of our show. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.